You know, looking back on some of my previous criticisms of Transformers media, I gotta say, Rid 15 gets a lot more hate than what it actually deserves. It might not have had the best execution, but it had a genuinely cool story idea, even if the execution was kinda this.
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby... Oh my goodness! Squidward!
As much as the show was overly formulaic and somewhat boring at times, if there was ever a thing to grace that show and make it something that gives me joy, it would have to be Strong Arm. I mean, yeah, a bad bitch who could crush you like a twig and was effectively a female rookie Ultra Magnus was bound to become my second favorite character right off the bat. I want her to be voiced by Susie Meyerson so bad I could literally die.
What's up? I got a joke in.
Finally.
Took me 4 weeks to get the hang of it.
No, it took them 4 weeks to realize their fucking cocks wouldn't fall off if they put a lady joke in.
There's something with me and Autobots that don't get enough representation in media that I really love, man. I mean, shit, I want a whole series of just mundane news reports from Cybertron where Slandance travels the galaxy reporting boring shit like traffic. I want a campy, stupid buddy cop show of Ultra Magnus and Strong Arm trying to hunt down old Western-style Decepticons. Hire me, Hasbro, you cheap fucks. So when Hasbro announced they'd finally be getting the first deluxe figure of her in 9 years, I completely lost my shit. Only to realize it was going to be another fucking Elita 1 retool. Oops! To say Legacy Strong Arm was a figure I was expecting basically nothing from would be quite a bit of an understatement. I mean, look at this Fisher-Price trident from the Little Mermaid yee-ass head sculpt. This shit looked horrible in stock images, because Hasbro's whole philosophy about stock images is crank up the contrast by 900% and severely mistransform the figure and we'll sell a ton of these puppies. Cool. Very nice. Total success. For the love of God! For the love of God! Please! You know that you hired some quality photographers when the stock imagery for Pterosaur has both the waist and the legs on fucking backwards. But Strongarm genuinely knocked my socks off. I cannot believe how well they did with this truck mode with a design that looks so different from the other molds. This thing's a blocky, undersized battering ram on wheels in all of the best ways possible. Starting with the blue striping and stark, clean white paint done with immaculate precision and care. It might only be 2 colors aside from the siren, but it's done so well that it just looks premium. But with every paint job done with this much care comes the question of longevity, and unfortunately the black on her front bumper chips off like a certified motherfucker. If you buy her, I'm not saying that she's guaranteed to have all her paint chip off, but you're going to want to carry a Sharpie with you at all times. Because I cannot get it to stay on past a couple dozen transformations. This is why reviews take so long with me. Longevity is something that reviewers never really talk about, and I play with the figures a lot before I review them. But make no mistake, if you're careful and gentle, this paint job is on some God mode shit. The contrast of the camera struggling to keep up with this vibrant and glorious color scheme. And you know what? For once, I'm here for it. Even if it means lighting takes 9 hours to fix. Strong Arm follows the same transformation template as Minerva or Elita 1, except for the way that the backpack works. You have to move the door wings, arms, and shoulders as far apart as they can go to avoid any paint scraping, and all of this was done just to make sure that the door wings were still a prominent part of her design. But this has also created a lot of restrictions on how much room her upper body has to move. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward transformation that's actually really satisfying and fun to pull off. Strong Arm's robot mode is an absolute stunner. That head sculpt has some of the most detailed and accurate paint out of any Chug figure I own at the moment. From the royal yellow crown atop her absolute queen bitch head, tiny blue and yellow accents on the sides, and even her blue lipstick. This head has a strong confidence that makes it almost seem like Hasbro's capable of creating expressive and emotional head sculpts. Weird concept, isn't it, Toby? I also just wanted to say they did a gorgeous job of translating the painted on details from the hood onto her chest. Yes, you could say this is full forming technically, but I could also say that I really don't give a shit. What I do have to say is that on Alita 1 and Minerva, the joints are pretty damn weak. And considering this is arguably the third bloody reuse of this mold, I don't quite understand how this turned out to be the best quality of all three of them. The joints of this thing are so strong and smooth, it's almost insulting to the other uses of this mold, and the posability stands to boot as a result. She is a little bit top-heavy in some poses, and her upper body does kind of suffer, with some issues clashing into other parts. The forearms and shoulders are on two separate hinges that are practically on top of each other. One of the hinges moves out, and the other hinge moves in, out, up, and down. And it feels like you had to practically fight against her arms to get them to do any sort of poses that involve a puny amount of outward movement. It isn't anything insanely difficult to work with or anything, but it's a lot of work when you're trying to animate these things in unison. The other problem is that the ankles are on some pretty tight detents, so the ankle tilt either wants to sprawl out to assert dominance or stay straighter than me, which isn't straight at all, but it's weird that they're trying this hard. But with a girl who's so rigid and by the book, I think the more by the book military style fighting poses suit her pretty well for the most part. You know, I gotta say, Strong Arm is one of my favorite figures to come out of 2023, and I have no idea what happened. Sure, it might be character bias and some degenerate part of me that was given to me by this accursed fan base, but this figure kicks ass. And I gotta say, emergency vehicle transformers almost always crush it. Strong Arm is pretty much the definition of why you should never judge a book by its cover, but my God, I can't deny she's the figure that I both never want to put down but never want to touch because I don't want to desecrate that absolutely gorgeous paint job. I do wish the cosmetics were made with some longevity in mind, but her transformation, articulation, plastic balance, and sculpting are all a giant win in my book. If you can find yourself Legacy Strong Arm, go and get her as soon as you possibly can. She's neat and I absolutely love her for it.
No, I don't want any fucking lemonade. Does it look like I'm sitting here thinking about some goddamned ass-licking, cock-sucking, dick-whacking lemonade?